Well, I'm just going to introduce the day to you a little bit and give you a disclaimer. We pegged this conference careers and figured we'd use that as a focus, but we don't want to give the impression that education is all about careers. In fact, it's not. Careers are something that certainly we're all concerned about and that we move into and we prepare for, but they are not everything. In fact, they're only one part of where we are and where we're going. You probably have come here with all sorts of motives. Some young people may perceive that they're not quite ready for the world of college or training, feeling inadequate perhaps, and that's good because we all are inadequate. Realizing that right off and dealing with it is wonderful. And no one is adequate on their own at any stage. Some people perceive that they are, but generally, well, they're deluding themselves. Our adequacy really only comes from our faith, our relationship with God, and our dependence, constant dependence. And the beauty of inadequacy is then we have to depend on somebody else and recognize our dependence on God, our dependence on our family members, dependence on our community. There are a lot of dependencies that we may as well acknowledge for life. The whole concept of growing up and becoming independent is really a misnomer because we're not called to be independent. We're called to be collective, to be part of a community of, within family and within the church and within the greater community. Am I loud enough? Okay. Marlene tells me I mumble, so I sometimes think because there's a microphone I don't have to speak loudly. The converse of feeling dependent and inadequate is what really pervades much of our world, which is an overconfidence. There are a lot of people who perceive that they can do anything. And overconfidence is actually gets in the way of real learning in a lot of situations. Recognizing how little we know is really a great benefit. Now, parents are probably here to an extent to make sure that they can cover all the bases with their children. And we can never cover all the bases because if you think in terms of baseball, the bases are all around the field. You can't possibly cover them all. You can touch them. You can do what you need to do at each base, but you don't want to try to cover them all. You can't cover them all at the same time. And education, learning is something like that. We can enter into different things, but we can't do everything. And so it's always a matter of choices. What are we able to do with the time and the resources we have? And what are we not able to do at this particular time? And acknowledge that we can't do everything. And there's no one place. People say, well, I want to go to school so that I can make sure I get everything I need. Well, we won't get everything we need there either. In fact, we'll get a number of things that we need, but we will not get the essential things. The essential things are the transferable skills. When we talk about careers, we need to acknowledge that careers, this is something that has been known in the last 30 years, but more and more today, that careers are things that change, sometimes with rapidity. And on often losing a job, or losing a job is kind of a bad word. You don't really lose it, where it is. But moving away from a job or having a job no longer exist is an opportunity to go to something different. And so it has to do with what are you called to as opposed to what career are you going to have for life. In some cases, people do enter into careers that are lifelong, but more and more that's becoming the exception rather than rule. So what are the transferable skills that you're going to be able to take to any career? And odd enough, those are the things that really your home life, your family life, offer you the best. The development of character. Ask any employer about what he or she wants in their employees, and they want people of character first. The skills are always trainable. And many of the skills you can learn very quickly. To learn character qualities is a lifetime effort, and it really requires the kind of intensive learning environment that only the home gives you, truly. So that's of ultimate importance. But adding to character, you know, some of the life skills have to do with comprehension, being able to understand the things that you read, the things that you hear, and that comes through practice and through dialogue. Communication, being able to formulate and express the thoughts that you develop in your mind as a result of the information you take in, and the ability to think. Those are the skills that will make you valuable in any career and allow you the capacity to change careers as need be throughout your life. And so careers, even though that's our title, is not the focus here. Careers are really a means. They're not an end in themselves. So we need to choose vocation. Someone suggested that I just kind of give a snapshot of my career. You know, what in the world would I have done when I was 20 years old or 18 years old or 30 years old to prepare for what I do today? It's only by grace that, you know, the Lord takes you through the path that he does. And if we're open to learning what we can in each of the situations, we'll be prepared for what he's calling us to next. And I think that's a question we need to continue to keep in the back of our head. You know, Bill Gurney, one of our longtime facilitators who's not facilitating with wisdom anymore, would always ask that question. What is the Lord trying to teach me in this? No matter what the situation, there's something that we're being prepared for that's beyond where we are now. I think that's important to keep in mind. So in 1970, I went to university and studied philosophy because I thought it would be a good foundation, and I wasn't positive what I wanted to do. Within my first month or two at university, I ended up taking a drama option and realized that theater was certainly a calling, became a great passion. So I ended up going into a theater degree and ended up with an education degree simply initially because I had exhausted all the possibilities in the Faculty of Arts. I'd taken all the theater courses I could, but if I went into education, I could take more theater courses, just the way things structured. And so I went into education. I thought, and it would also be nice to teach this to other people. So I got an education degree and taught for a while and realized, oh, no, I don't want to just teach this, I want to do it. So I went off and did theater. And Marlene and I ended up kind of in a situation where we had some skills. We had skills in mime, and mime wasn't very common in Western Canada, even Eastern Canada at that time. We go way back. And so we started our own little troupe in the summertime, mostly when we were between jobs, our own little theater company, which ended up expanding and became full-time work. But it also taught us business and promotion and other skills that we needed. Now, how could, most of the actors that I'd ever met were people who weren't very practical. They were very creative, but not very practical. But here's Ken, who came from a farm with an eminently practical father and a very logical mother. And so the skills that prepared me to be able to carry on a business in theater didn't have to do with anything I'd learned in school. It had to do with the modeling I had from my parents. Go figure. You know, all the best things I learned on the farm. And so then 6 years later, the Lord gave us our first child, and we realized we can have children. So we went from this intensive professional career, thinking that we were going to be barren, to being a family. And so then that changed our life, and we became farmers, because that's a much better place to raise children. And so there's another business that we had to work at, and it was a starving business, because we started in the 80s, just when commodity prices started coming way down, and all farm input costs started going way up. And so it was the dumbest time in the world to start farming, but there we were. So that was good, because we didn't go in with any false expectations. From there, we ended up homeschooling because our firstborn refused to cooperate with the school system. And we realized in that the interaction between us and other families like us and school jurisdictions was really cumbersome. In fact, often deadly for the homeschool environment. So we started Wisdom. And then Wisdom became a job. And the farming's still a job. But all the background that we had in business and promotion and dealing with government, which we had to do for grants for a theater company, all became useful in Wisdom. So who in the world would plan to do all those things so that one day we could administrate Wisdom? And you know, what's the Lord calling us to tomorrow? We don't know. But I just give you that snapshot so that especially the young people can go, okay, what's the Lord calling me to now? What are the opportunities I have to learn now? What are my passions now? I mean, I love theater, but I love not being an actor. I'd much rather talk to you about things that are very important to your life. But the Lord gave me that passion so that I could develop even an ability for an introvert to stand up in front of people and talk. And so maybe there are passions that you have or that you're discovering. Or maybe you don't have any passion at all. I went to university with no passion. Philosophy is pretty dry for an 18-year-old with my background. With your background, probably not so dry. But theater became something that grabbed me. So what are the ways in which the Lord is calling you, grabbing you? Dive into them. Learn all you can. Do what you can. But always we need to be open to what's coming around the corner. So today we're going to look at a number of careers, look at them objectively and openly and see where you might be prompted. But in the back of your mind, use this as an opportunity also to not just get focused on the career itself, but to make sure that those other skills, those transferable skills, are being developed. Your ability to think, to express, to understand, to communicate with other people, and most of all, your character. All right. So what we're going to do, we have a number of institutions here. Please visit them all and talk to them. This is a great opportunity for you to glean what you can. It's those one-on-one conversations with representatives from these institutions that can give you information about what they have to offer, but also give them some insight into what you're thinking. We've already, just as a result of this conference last year, we ended up with a major institution saying we need to change, saying we need to change the way we are open to admissions for homeschoolers, because the people we met at this conference, the young people we met here, are the people we want. So don't be afraid to engage these people and talk to them, because you're having an impact on them, maybe even more than they're having an impact on you. And we want them to all come back next year, so we want them to have plenty of people, inspiring people to talk to. We're trying to set up breaks throughout the day. When we have a break, get out there and use it and talk to people. We want to make sure that we use the time well. It's going to be a bit of drinking from a fire hydrant today. Our speakers have got short times to speak. A number of them are going to speak on careers. Then we have a group of them just after lunch who aren't going to focus on a particular career, but will talk about their institution. Is there anything I've missed? If there is, I'm sure to pop it in later. So we're starting with Don Stewart from NAIT. He's going to talk about the business program at NAIT. And Don's only here this morning, so if you want to talk to NAIT, make sure you talk to him this morning. Don.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you for this opportunity to come and speak again. My role at NAIT is as a high school partnership coordinator, and in that role, I get to do quite a variety of tasks, and I really appreciate the words of wisdom that, you know, life takes you in different directions. And today, for example, I had our coordinator of business all lined up to come here to speak about their business program. And lo and behold, I don't know why they're not here. However, if Sam Pfefferman steps in that door, I'm going to vacate this stage and let him take over. But I'm going to talk about business and the different careers that it will lead in his stead. So for those of you looking at making career choices, I know it can be a daunting task, especially if you're, you know, in your teens and you're thinking, well, what the heck am I going to do the rest of my life? And, you know, my advice, again, you know, we hear a lot about passion, following that dream, is if you have passion, that's great. Hopefully you discover it someday. When I was your age, my passion was playing ball hockey and, you know, anything sports related. But making a career out of it was, you know, something that I wasn't sure where it would lead me. I would really advise young people to look at interests, and maybe not quite passion, but if you have an interest. So you like working with computers, if you like dealing with people, you know, if you like, you know, if you're analytical, you like biology, you like anatomy, you know, check out those interests and see where those interests will lead you. I think that will start you on your right pathway. You know, so, you know, follow those interests and then take a look at your talents. And we all have individual talents, individual skills, every one of us. We're good in some things, we're not so good in others. Recognize where your talents are and try to match, you know, a career that will utilize those talents. So if you do that, I think you're on the right path. The other thing I would do is sometimes people think, oh, you know, it's such a big decision. I'm making a decision. What am I going to do the rest of my life? And, you know, you're looking ahead many, many years. Well, maybe don't look so far ahead. You know, maybe look at it in a 10-year chunk of time. What would I be good at for the next 10 years? So chances are your first career, it's going to lead into something else. As you get more experience, build your maturity, build your skills, that first career may not last you a lifetime. You know, and like myself, you know, starting out, you know, years ago as a social worker, and, you know, I've done a variety of jobs before I got to the stage here today. Your parents, I bet you many of your parents in the same situation. You know, working as a farmer, working in drama, you know, running a school. You know, life takes you in different directions. So, you know, try not to look so far ahead, and, you know, maybe that will make it easier making that decision. NAIT Business, where will it take you? What kinds of careers can you get with our program? Well, we have a 2-year diploma program, and then you can take 2 additional years and end up with a degree. It's relatively new for us. It's called Bachelor of Business Administration. And every post-secondary, pretty well every post-secondary has a business program. And we all have areas, nuances of specialization. And again, you need to find one that resonates with you. So ours happen to be in 5 different areas. You know, if you're interested in becoming an accountant, and let's say you want to become a professional accountant, you can take courses at NAIT that will lead in that direction, that will give you all the courses that you need to be a chartered accountant, a certified management accountant, or a certified general accountant. So if you like working with numbers, you're analytical, you know, good in math, that often leads people into accounting. And to start off your career at NAIT, we are going to look for 2 subjects, your grade 12 English, grade 12 math. And I'm going to talk about that a little later as well. So accounting is one of the options. And if you look at the CEOs of large companies, people starting their own business, many have accounting backgrounds, very versatile background. As you progress in your accounting career, you do less number crunching. I don't know if there's any accountants in the office, in the audience here today, but if there are, you do less number crunching. Hopefully I'm accurate here. You're doing more managing. You're doing more forecasting. So would you say that is correct, sir? Okay. So accounting is one choice, very good one. Second choice of the 5 is in finance. So for those of you that are interested in working in banking, maybe as a loans officer, or if you want to get into financial planning, planning for retirement, you want to become a stockbroker, you could use our finance diploma, the section out of business, to get you in that direction. So for those of you that like to work with money, generating wealth for yourself or for others, you could look at that. Third option is in marketing. So we use, for those creative business types who want to get into promotions, who want to get into sales, that's another option. Management, if you want to run your own business, maybe you're involved in a family business, you want to take it over someday, or you're just entrepreneurial, you could use our management program to do that. And then finally, human resources. You know, those people that sit on the other side of the desk and hire and do all the selection, we train for that as well. So again, at NAIT, you can end up with a 2-year diploma, and you can go out into the work world with that. You can then start on your BBA, your Bachelor of Business Administration, either on a part-time basis, you can do it full-time, you can do it through distance learning. So there's lots of flexibility, and again, those 5 different areas: accounting, finance, management, marketing, and human resources. The nice thing about our business program, in the first year of diploma, you get exposure to all 5 of those different options. Starting in the second year, that's when you start to specialize. So you've got a whole year to try out, well, is finance for me? You know, and you're taught by people who have come from industry, who have worked in those roles. So they're not only coming from sort of a theoretical perspective, but they've all done it in the real world as well. So that's the nice thing about our business program. The other nice thing I think as well, not being a math major, is that our business program does not have any calculus in it. So for some people that can be a blessing, I guess, not having to do calculus. So, and again, we'll only look at your 2 subjects, English and math. So for those of you, and I assume all of you in homeschooling, what I would encourage you to do is to write your Alberta Education Diploma exams. But saying that, this year we've just hired a prior learning coordinator. And one of the things I've asked Sharon Brown to do is take a look at the SATs as appropriate entrance requirements for NAIT. And that's one thing that's on her to-do list. Now, she's not there yet. And then for those of you that are taking other curriculums as well, you can certainly go through our prior learning assessment to see if those English and math courses meet our requirements. So, but if you want to, without any doubt, want to make sure you can take the Alberta High School Diploma programs. Our class sizes are small. You won't walk into any auditoriums this big, 4 classes, unless very exceptional circumstances. But class sizes are under 30. In our business program. So that's one of the other nice features. And again, we track all our graduates. I have information about the kinds of salaries they make when they enter the work world. So if you are interested in business, when you're hitting that grade 12th year, if you're taking grade 12 courses, take a look at what we have to offer. So thank you. I don't know if there are any questions, or I don't want to monopolize time here, but any questions about our business program?
We've got 2 mics, one here and one in that corner, so if you have a question, please just come down to the mic. Yeah. If not, if you have questions, I will be out in the lobby. Again, thank you for the invite to come out today, and thank you for coming out on a Saturday. It's great to see so many interested people in future careers and helping your kids out, and I really applaud the homeschoolers for for doing this. So thank you again.
Thank you, Don.
As I said, NAIT is only able to be here this morning, so make sure that you use one of the early breaks to talk to them if you would like to. James Fehr is here. He's a homeschool grad who got drawn into a company that was very homeschool friendly, and so he's going to talk a little bit about the journey that he was on. James.
Hi, my name is James Fehr, and I work for a computer software consulting company here in Edmonton, where I've been for the last 17 years. I'm a happily married homeschooling dad of 10 kids from newborn to age 15. And it's been an exciting journey training them. I grew up in a homeschooling family back in 1984. My parents pulled me out of public school in BC, and I took the rest of my training at home with my 6 siblings. And I've had an interest in computers for about as long as I can remember. We didn't have the money for a computer until my early teens. When I was 13, there was a father of another homeschooling family we'd gotten to know that worked for a software company, and he told me about his job, and I asked him a lot of questions. And then he gave me a standing offer to try out for the company when I was old enough. And so I always had that in the back of my mind growing up. He told me about how this company was very open to homeschooling students that were eager to learn, and bringing them on to apprentice them. And that sounded like an exciting opportunity to me. But in the intervening years, my parents scraped together enough money so that they could buy me an old computer. It was one of these green screen, command line Morrow CP/M computers. And I loved exploring it. I worked through a couple of Bob Jones University manuals, Introduction to Computers and Basic Computer Programming. And really enjoyed that. Learned all I could about the computer's word processor and spreadsheet and databases and whatnot. And then later when I was 17, I was invited to work at the headquarters for the home education program that we were on at the time. So I traveled to Chicago for a couple of years, and later they gave me an opportunity to apprentice as a computer programmer for them. And so I learned a couple of different computer programming languages and helped them with their order entry system. And that proved to be a very valuable experience for me. And I was there for about 2 years. And then soon after moving back home, I decided to take up the offer of this old family friend. And I moved from southern Alberta to Edmonton to start working at Computronics. And I got married soon after. And with the training that I'd received previously, I was able to pretty much hit the ground running. I was surprised at how God had prepared me for this opportunity, and I was able to be productive fairly quickly and embark on the exciting career journey that I'm on now. And it's been my first and only full-time job. I'm still there, and have really appreciated the company for a number of different reasons. When I was hired, being homeschooled without a university degree was not a big disadvantage, but there were 2 things that were really important to them, and that was aptitude and attitude. And that's what they would still say today. So aptitude is the ability to think logically, to think conceptually, solve problems and comprehend complex issues. And then attitude, just the importance of having, being honest, being responsible, dependable, and being very eager to learn and grow. So the company gave me a lot of support, even though I didn't come there with a lot of things to put behind my name on a resume. They gave me a lot of opportunity to take certifications and training courses and support me in that after I joined. So having a degree from a technical school or university would have been helpful. I mean, it's especially helpful as the company puts out resumes for prospective clients that we have to work for. It's not enough necessarily just to get hired on by a software company. They have their own clients that sometimes need to see your credentials as well. And so at times that would have been helpful. But not necessary. But what was necessary was an eagerness to grow and learn actively, and to keep up with technology. So life is a continual classroom. We never stop learning. what I've really appreciated about working with the software industry is, first of all, just being able to build relationships with people from all kinds of different walks of life as I interact with my fellow employees and the clients that we work with. It provides me a chance to interact with people who need and appreciate help, who have problems they need help solving. It's helped me with my written and verbal communication skills. And it's really all about solving problems and helping people, and helping our clients become efficient and effective. It keeps my mind stimulated and engaged. It keeps me challenged. I've always enjoyed solving, puzzle-like problems and logical thinking and that sort of thing, and dealing with technology. And that has been a very exciting part of the process for me. Just being involved in helping to create the technology that we'll be dealing with, in years to come. And in many ways, it feels like there's no limit to what we can do. So it's a very exciting field to be in. What I've also found is that computer programming experience and knowledge is very helpful and is portable to other professions. So skills like problem solving, analytical and logical thinking, research and communication, all of these are things that are helpful no matter what kind of job you end up doing. And so, even if I had only been doing this for a few years after I moved up here to Edmonton, it would have put me in some good stead, given me a head start in some of the skills I would need for just about any job. And it's given me exposure to many other occupations. And this is something that wasn't in my mind when I started with the company, but has certainly been a really exciting, beneficial part of the puzzle. And so I've worked for a variety of types of businesses that make up our clients, and part of my job is to understand what they do. In fact, sometimes you have to get to know their business just as good as they do. And so over the years, I've been involved in building a lot of different types of systems, from order entry, purchasing, records retention, hotel reservation, accounting, invoicing, job applicant tracking, financial reporting for management, time entry, inventory, permitting and licensing, automatic meeting scheduling, online complaints for tax assessments, on and on. And all of these things, having to figure out the business, interact with the people who do those jobs for a living, and doing it for a lot of different types of companies as well. Nonprofit ministries, a large oil company, city and provincial governments, paper mills, pipe inspection and repair companies, inspection and safety authorities, and an educational institution. So I feel like I've gotten a fairly good breadth of experience and learning the business for other companies, which has been very interesting. My job is never boring in that sense, because I'm always having to learn and grow. Another great thing about the computer industry is that there is a low barrier to entry if you have the aptitude. It doesn't require a lot of money to learn programming at home, to start developing the skills, as long as you have a computer and an internet connection. And then a variety of types of responsibilities within the software industry. So even just within my own company, it's not just 75 computer programmers stuck together in their cubicles, but there's programming, there's analysis, design, business process engineering, technical writing, database administration, hardware and network support, project management, training, and administrative assistant, sales. So a lot of different types of roles within the company, and my company is eager to aid in the process of discovery as employees figure out what it is that they're best at, and they want to help their employees figure that out. There's some great opportunity for advancement. I love how continual learning is a requirement. Technology changes so fast that as a programmer you have to, it can feel like you just master one technology and then another one comes in to take its place. So as someone who probably would have been content being a full-time student at a university, this gives me another chance to continually learn. It really is kind of a requirement. The pay is competitive. Another great thing is I'm able to practice and hone my skill at home. So there's some flexibility in where I can work from. I can work from home if I need to, or even on the road. That can be both a blessing and a curse, I guess, sometimes, but mostly it's been a blessing for me and my family. And I just really appreciate the chance that this company has given me. And we look forward to giving many other young people that type of opportunity.
Do you want to use a mic for questions? Then it's a little better for the audio streaming as well.
You mentioned that you didn't have a degree getting into computers. Do you think that was more easily done back when you got in as opposed to today? Would that be a possible route for some people here today who may be really good in computers but may not want to go for a university degree or a NAIT?
Yes, for my company, it's actually just as true today as it was then. They're very willing and eager to take on homeschooling students, people, or even any fathers out there that are looking for a job, or mothers that people that have the aptitude but don't necessarily have a degree. As I was saying, I think in general, it's become better to have some certifications. You can get some of that afterwards, and a degree can help. There is some work that I haven't, like just a few pieces of work that they've been reticent to put me on or bid me at because I didn't come in with a degree. But actually over time, with the experience I have now, that really isn't even a problem either. All right, so I have a booth for Computronics there in the lobby, so you can talk to me and ask any further questions you have then. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Is Garrett in the house? All right. I know Len is. So we'll skip ahead to, we were going to have representation from the fire school in Vermilion, but they ended up double booked, and their manpower suddenly slid away on them. There are a number of ways that people can gain background in as firefighters or in related tasks. But we've got with us a homeschooling dad today who has been a firefighter for as long as I've known him and then some. And so we'd like Len Isinger to talk to us about this career.
So thanks, Ken. I appreciated listening to the other speakers too, and I'm happy to be here. I brought with me my personal protective gear. I would have brought a fire truck, but Ken said no. So if you have issues, he's the guy. Actually, I couldn't bring a fire truck, obviously. But I'm happy to be here to tell you. I'd like to talk about firefighting. I'm going to approach it. First, I'll tell you what we actually do, how we do it, and then over my career, what I found have been difficulties and then real positive things. So when I was thinking about this talk, I thought a tale of two cities came up. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. And that's how I think our job could be summarized. It can be the greatest job, but we do see some pretty not very nice stuff. So that's just to be blunt. But we make the best of that. So we don't just fight fires, and that's something you need to know. We go to fires where there's fire, where there's smoke, where there's a smell of fire, where there's a sound of fire. If people hear something, they call 911 and we go, and oftentimes we can't find out what the heck is going on. But we do our best. We use our skill sets to try and solve it and then carry on. We go to medical calls. People are often surprised. We show up and they say, well, I don't want fire here. What are you doing here? We wanted an ambulance. Well, in Edmonton, I work in Edmonton. Edmonton runs a separate service, fire and ambulance. But the fire deployment is a much quicker response. We have a goal to be on scene in under 4 minutes, having the first rig. So if a medical call comes in that has altered level of consciousness or chest pain, breathing problems, something that's imminently life-threatening, fire will be dispatched first. So we have on our trucks, every firefighter has a higher level of first aid to start getting the medical scene under control. We also have defibrillators and trauma kits, oxygen kits. So that's a big part of our job too. Actually, it's probably, we go to more medical aids than we do fires. So that's an interesting point. When we go to medical aids, we deal with heart issues, breathing issues, asthma, arrest, cardiac arrests, strokes, seizures. As the majority, we deliver babies, although that's not too far. We delivered one at minus 35 degrees in the fire hall. So it's kind of, I don't think the moms would appreciate that very much, having 5 firefighters there, but we try and be discreet and respectful. That's a big part of the job. It's actually a real blessing of the job. It's really a position of trust and privilege. You see people at a very vulnerable time, and you do the best to help them. So we go to medical, obviously, car accidents. So car accidents will involve multiple factors. We have medical trauma. We have people trapped. We also might have fire on the vehicle. We get traffic congestion. You can imagine a car accident in the middle of an intersection, say White Mud Freeway and Calgary Trail. Now you're blocking off 2 major passes, so the citizens of Edmonton are inconvenienced. People are hurt, so we have to kind of try and bring some semblance of order to that, so that people are treated. The scene is safe, so no more injuries happen, and the rest of the citizens can continue their lives. What else? And then when car accidents, there's also fluids can be spilled, or if the car accident involves a semi-truck, could be carrying some toxic chemicals or whatever, we have to mitigate that as well. Hazardous goods, gas leaks. We got lots of gas leaks, carbon monoxide. We were at one leak at a factory, leaking hydrogen gas, very explosive. So it's a very fluid environment. And again, going back to the Tale of Two Cities, we're very ordered and disciplined. We're paramilitary, but we go into very disordered. So it's the most organized and the least organized. So again, we're always balancing that. Very exciting, can be stressful, always unique. Entrapment, so another issue we do. So, and this is, if you're going to be a firefighter, you want to do that, definitely can't be afraid of small spaces or heights. So it kind of seems obvious, but people often don't know that about themselves. Good thing to know. It will be tested for when you're trying out. So building collapse, window washers on the high side of skyscrapers get trapped up there, 20 stories up. Someone's got to get them down. Deep sewer, someone falls down a tunnel. Got to get them out. A lot of the situations you go into are very unique, and so that I'll talk about this a little later. You have to think on your feet and adapt. And so as a young person, again, one of the speakers said, what's your skill set? Your ability to innovate and to adapt and to try new things. Because oftentimes we are in a unique situation where, no one's fallen down a 20-foot hole underneath the bridge with a fire on top, and so you got to kind of just figure it out. And as I talk later, you'll see how we do that. Yeah, so confined spaces, kids trapped in a fridge. It'll sound funny. Rescued a puppy from under a step, a cat from in a fridge, in a furnace. You just never know what you're going to face. And so you put your heads together and you deal with it. So basically, how we do that. A firefighter, once you get hired, you're going to bring a skill set, your aptitudes, your attitude, huge. Whoever said that before, attitude's huge. You bring that to the fire hall. You're trained. You'll become part of a team. So basically, you'll become a crew member. Every crew basically mans a rig. So a fire station will have 1 to 3 trucks in it. Each truck will have 4 people on it. Each truck will be commanded by an officer. That's the position I'm at right now. And then that team will go to the incident. An emergency comes into 911. Everybody know that? The call center will evaluate what the emergency is and dispatch the appropriate resources. So they go on scene. The first in truck will be in command, and then that commander will start assigning units to do what needs to be done. Again, I can't tell you, it's not cookie cutter. We have general patterns how to work, but as you're assigned, say our team was assigned to ventilation, which is removing smoke or getting fresh air into a building. My task would be to take my crew and execute that, and I would depend on my crew members, who would be the firefighters, who would be you, if anybody gets on, until you're more senior, and then you would be expected to carry out efficiently and the tasks that I asked you to do, and my commander would be depending on me to have that task carried out. So it's very paramilitary in a way that when you're asked to do something, you do it, but how you do it, there's general techniques, but sometimes you have to be very creative. So, getting on the job. So hopefully that clarifies. So hopefully you understand it's called an incident command system. So firefighter is a member of a crew. A crew is a member of the department, and the department or the commander will use as many crews as he needs to mitigate the incident. So it might be just one crew, like somebody in a car accident. We'll get them out. If it's a bigger incident, we might call in 5 more rigs, 10 more rigs. We might call in police, ambulance, whatever. Running out of time. I want to tell you guys some positives and negatives. Very competitive to get on.
Can I break in here?
Yeah.
Seeing that Vermilion wasn't able to come, Len is kind of talking about both parts, so we'll give him a little more time.
Well, thanks. It pays to have friends in high places, eh? Okay. So it is really competitive to get on. One thing is you really need to make sure, ask yourself, what can you give to the job, not what is the job going to give to you. You want to be a firefighter so you can help, not so you can have days off. So that's a very critical foundation. So again, hearing from what I said, you need to have the ability to work in order, paramilitary, structured. You also have to have the ability to not fall apart when there's disorder all around you. So that's really important. Thinking on your feet. To get on in Edmonton right now is highly, highly competitive. The junior guy who just got on in our department, it took him, it's basically 2 years from when he applied to when he's going to write his 1-year probationary test. So it starts with an aptitude test. You have to pay $50 for that. Then if you pass the aptitude test, there's a physical, very, very difficult physical, so you need to be in very good shape. If you pass the physical, you move on to an interview, which is a panel of 3 guys which interview you. So being aware, life skills, they're going to ask you why you want to be a firefighter, what you bring to the job. So you have to be able to present yourself well there. After that, if you pass that, you move on to a station assessment where you'll actually go and you'll spend a couple shifts in a fire hall with the crew to see how you fit in. If you can work as a team, teamwork is really important on our job. Obviously, it's you ask somebody to do something, you need to know what's being done. Then there's a medical. Make sure you don't have any issues, the back issues, your sight's okay, that you're not deaf, so you can listen to orders. And then at that point, you'll be given an offer of hiring, and you'll have to write, when you show up for training, 3 months training, you will have to pass an exam. There's a book about this thick you'll have to be aware of. So any experience you can bring to the job, to your application, very beneficial. So again, this job, in my experience, this is a job to come on not out of high school. You need to have some life experience because you, number one, one of the first things guys do when they come in the fire hall is, what are we doing now? Because a lot of our job is hurry up and wait. So we rush to a call, and then we wait to see if we're needed, what's needed. Or we rush to our work, and we get there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then we wait for a call to come in. So obviously, while we're at the fire station, we do physical fitness, we maintain trucks, we train on equipment, we do continual education, and you might have heard we cook too. One of the things of being innovative and creative, which is a good asset as a firefighter, is it also leads to good cooking. So we eat. Oftentimes our meals are interrupted. Probably, it always seems that just when the dinner bell goes off, a call comes in. So, but who can complain? You're getting paid. That's another thing. You know, it's the best of jobs. You get paid to help people. It's pretty neat. But you also see things that you'd rather not see. So it's can be stressful in that way. That sometimes contributes to the innovativeness and creativity of practical jokes in the fire hall. They are lots of practical jokes, the way of dealing with stress, but just trying to give you a peek of the inside life. You live in a fire hall, basically. We work long shifts. We work 10-hour days and 14-hour nights. It's a wonderful shift as a homeschool dad. That was one of the things I wasn't homeschooling yet, my children, but it was definitely a consideration in terms of how much time I could have with my family. I was able to be at home a lot in the days. Lots of firefighters whose children are in school are the dads who are on the field trips with their children. So it was really nice to be involved that way. The downside is you're gone at nights. So I've got 8 night shifts every month so that I'm away from the evening, which tends to be the quiet time at home. I found later on that trade-off, there is a lack of establishing real every Friday night is popcorn and a movie, or you couldn't establish that because shift work just is an impediment to that. So, and as you're getting older, shift work gets harder. Just a consideration. Lateral mobility, talked about career as a firefighter, not a whole lot of lateral mobility. Like now, if I decided to stop my job, right now I'm 25 years as a firefighter, I moved up, now a captain. If I stopped right now and said, gee, I don't want to live in Edmonton anymore, I want to go be a firefighter in Kelowna or Victoria, I would actually have to go through the whole recruitment process again and start at the bottom. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. And I can't see myself competing against a 220-pound athlete, whatever. I don't have the time to do that. So just keep that in mind. If you want to become a firefighter, find out where you want to be a firefighter, close to your family or be on the coast or whatever. Don't think, well, I'm going to be a firefighter in Edmonton for 5 years, and I move to Calgary, and then maybe I'll try Ottawa. Doesn't work that way. Higher levels of management, yes. Fire chief, fire inspectors, fire marshal. You can do that. As a firefighter, no. You start at the bottom. And you'll probably have a little bit of a stigma because, you know, why did you go there and now you're coming here? Because it costs, I'm not sure what the figure was, but it's like $300,000 is invested in you to become a firefighter. So the city, when they hire you, they have a vested interest in you. And I would think there'd be a loyalty to pay back as well. City of Edmonton is great to work for. Leading department, innovation, world renowned, I think. Okay. Position of trust, great responsibility. You want to be a person of character, integrity. Help people, be honest, be good. That's it.
Do we have a question? We've got time for one.
Sorry.
All right, Garrett's in the house. This young man was homeschooled and used the flexibility of being at home to advantage for the particular calling that he perceived and the training that he needed to do it. Garrett is currently performing with the Alberta Ballet in the production of Othello and has had a very exciting career. So come and tell us a little bit about homeschooling and your life.
I guess this is on. So, as he just said, I was homeschooled here in Edmonton by my mom and my dad, Groat. And I started dancing at age 6. I'm not too sure why I started dancing. I guess I was like really fidgety and stuff as a kid, as I still am. And loved music. And so started dancing. And then trained in all different types of dance, hip-hop, ballet, which I'm doing now, lyrical, musical theater, basically any type of dance, I've done it. And so I guess when I was like 14, I started doing extra hip-hop, and along with that, extra ballet, which is kind of a weird combination. Don't ask me why. Started doing more hip-hop, in hopes of moving to Los Angeles and becoming a backup dancer for like JT or Michael Jackson. He's dead now, rest in peace. So, hip hop. And then, how does that connect with ballet? I don't know, Garrett. So I guess when I was 17, I went to Calgary for a ballet competition, and it was there that there was a teacher from New York City, teacher at American Ballet Theater School of Ballet, and saw me, saw potential, said you should come to New York and start training there on full scholarship, which is thank God, because God knows my family couldn't afford it. So spent 2 years there. You know, it was my first like real taste of like actual ballet, which was challenging, I guess in one word. The amount of like dedication and discipline and just strength of character that I started to realize you needed to have in order to do ballet, because you're constantly being told that, well, you're just not really told that you're good at anything. You're like, okay, I'm here in New York along with the best of the best in the ballet world, and I've only really had, you know, like 3-4 years of like real ballet training. And I'm like, okay, God, why am I here? What are you doing? So I'm in New York, and then I started to go see ballet shows, like live theater and stuff like that. And the people that I was blessed to see perform were people that I had only ever seen on like YouTube or Center Stage or anything like that. I don't know if anybody's ever seen Center Stage. I won't hold it against you if you haven't seen it, because it's not that good of a movie. So yeah, that was like really inspiring and kind of lit a fire, I guess, within inside of me to start pursuing ballet. And then I guess my teacher in New York said, you know, you should think about pursuing this as a career. Told me to go audition for Alberta Ballet. He said, you know, you get to go back home. I'm like, yay. I've only spent like 17 years there. No, I was really happy. So I went and I did the audition in New York. They kind of had like a cattle call audition. So there's like, I guess 200 people were probably at that audition. And I was one of, I think 3 people were hired out of that audition. And I was one of 3 people to get the job. So I moved, came back. I don't even know how that whole thing went. But yeah, and then moved to Calgary. And now I dance with Alberta Ballet professionally. I never would have thought that God would have chose for me ballet. But it's not my, well, I mean, yes, it's my decision. I wanted to be a dancer. And I had a teacher in Edmonton finally like sit me down, and he was like, Garrett, if you want to become, like if you want to be great at something, you're going to have to like, you know, narrow your options down and like focus in on one thing. Because all my teachers in Edmonton here that taught me hip hop and all the other styles were like, you know, become a well-rounded dancer. And so that was my focus, was becoming a well-rounded dancer. And then I finally had a ballet teacher sit me down and say, you know, if you want to become great at one thing and become a professional and make this into a career, something that you can actually make money at and, you know, support a family and live your dreams and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so he was like, you need to focus in on this thing. And I'm like, I don't really know if I want to do that. I was like, I'm too like ADHD to focus on one thing. So the whole time I was in New York, it was really, really difficult just to like focus in on ballet specifically. So to kind of help myself get through the whole discipline of ballet, I'd take extra classes at Steps on Broadway, like it's a studio in Uptown New York, and I'd take hip hop classes or like jazz classes just to, I don't know, help myself. Yeah, go through the torture and discipline of ballet. So yeah, now I've been dancing with Alberta Ballet for 3 seasons, and I joined as an apprentice. Second year, I became full core. So yeah, I don't really know what the difference. It's just a difference in pay, really. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a blessing. It's been really, really cool. I guess I don't know how much longer I have.
You take questions.
Yeah, sure. Questions. You have a question? 3 questions? Oh, I've got time.
Use the mic and the audio stream.
Go to one of the mics.
Go for it.
The mic can come to you.
Questions are better. I don't really have much to say. I'm like, I don't know.
My perception is that dance, well, ballet in particular, but dance in general, is sort of a early retirement sort of a career. Is that?
Oh yeah, no, you're
accurate?
right. That's a good question. So I'm 21 now. I have, I guess the question, like, when does it end? Yeah. No, if I'm smart and God's good to me, yeah, I can dance until I'm 40. but that's about it. I'm actually, like, after I dance, I don't know, maybe I'll pursue massage therapy or something for dancers. Girlfriend says I have good hands, so we'll possibly pursue that. I don't know. Any other questions? Oh, you got, oh gosh. I know, it's been a long time.
So you're employed full-time with Alberta Ballet. What's your work schedule like?
It's a good question. So it's I work 5 days a week. I get Saturday, Sunday off. Work from 9:30 to 6:15. I'm only paid from 11:15 to 6:15, because from 9:30 to 11 is ballet class, and that warms us up and gets us, limber for the day, and yeah. And then I guess this season we're like extremely busy. We're doing 7 productions. So right now I'm in Edmonton, not for this, sorry, but here for Othello. Yeah, so this is our last night. You should come watch. It's great.
Does it pay enough that it's not just a hobby?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm not making millions or anything. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know what a fireman makes. But yeah, no, I make enough money. I make enough money to support myself. And then, I mean, I have a house, and so I have renters in there and stuff, so that helps, with money and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for coming here and missing your morning stretches.
No. No, my morning doesn't start until 1:15. So it's weird. I'm still sleeping.
Thank you, Garrett. Is Sarah in the house? Thank you. Sarah is here from Trinity Western University, and she's going to talk about their education program.
Thanks for having me here. How do you follow that? Oh man, ballet, it's so cool. All I could think of was "So You Think You Dance" is in my head. It's like, does he know all those people? So yeah, my name is Sarah. I'm from Trinity Western University, which is in Langley, BC. I work for Trinity Western as an admissions counselor for the Prairie region. So I actually work for Trinity Western in Calgary. So it wasn't too far for me to come out here. I'd made the drive last night. So I work with Prairie students who are interested in coming to Trinity, as well as students from the territories as well. I graduated from Trinity Western in 2010 with a degree in communications and a Catholic studies minor. Had no idea what I was going to do when I graduated, but loved it. Actually started in the education program, and in the second year, I was taking communication courses as my teachable and decided I just loved the communications program, and my passions were just really quickly switching all the way to communications, so I made the switch. To my parents' demise, I think. They were really concerned about me, but what are you going to do with a communications degree? Like, you can get a job as a teacher. And I was like, yeah, but I love this, so I'm going to take it anyway. So I switched, and this job fell in my lap, and it was such a blessing from God. It totally fits my personality, and I love meeting people. So before going into the education program, I want to talk a little bit about Trinity so that it makes more sense. So Trinity is a 4-year Christian liberal arts and sciences university. We're about 45 minutes east of Vancouver, if you don't quite know the area. So we're a liberal arts university. So what that means is that every student has to take a little bit of everything to graduate. So your degree is made out of 3 parts, every degree at Trinity. So you have your major, so whatever you want to study, whether that's business, psychology, pre-med, nursing, education. You have those courses. You also have electives. So whatever you want to take that doesn't fit quite into your major, you can throw them in there. And then we have what we call our core curriculum. So that's made up of Englishes, science, history, art, religion, philosophy. It's about 40 credits. So not only do you get to learn the technical skills of your major, but you also become a really well-rounded person, a well-rounded graduate who can think on their feet, who can adapt to different situations. And that's great because employers want people who are creative thinkers, who can adapt, who can take knowledge from different areas and put it to work. So how the education program works. Okay, so that makes up your total degree at Trinity. So how the education program works is that it's a 5-year concurrent degree. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can do it in the 5 years, or if you already have a degree in something else, you can do our 2-year program. So how the 5-year program works is that students will take their teachable subjects. So whether you want to do high school education, middle school, elementary, we have all those programs. So in your first 4 years, you're taking both education courses and courses towards your teachable subjects. So when I started education, I thought I was going to be an English teacher. So I started taking our core requirement courses, some English, art, history, and English was already kind of in there, so those are my teachable subjects throughout my first year. In the second year, you start taking your education courses. And there's 3 education courses you take in your first year, or in your second year. So within those courses, you get into the classroom. So in your second year, you're already shadowing teachers, following them around the classroom, seeing what a classroom environment is like, while also taking more of those theory courses. And then within your 3rd and 4th year, you're in the classroom even more. You're teaching a lesson. You're helping the teacher plan their lessons for them, getting a lot of experience in the classroom. And during this 4 years, you're also taking those courses towards your teachable subject, whatever that might be. And we do encourage students to take more than one teachable subject. 2 is usually pretty common, so that you're more hireable at the end. You have more knowledge from different areas. And it's pretty easy to do within our 4-year degree. So at the end of those 4 years, you graduate with either a Bachelor's of Arts or a Bachelor's of Science, whatever that teachable subject you chose was. Then in your 5th year, you're full-time in the classroom doing your teacher certificate, your practicum. So within the first 4 years, we do encourage students to do practicum placements in elementary, in high school, in middle school, and get a feel for what each classroom environment is going to be like. So that by the time they want to choose between secondary and elementary, they already have kind of a good grasp on what it might be like. So you don't go to your 5th year and be like, I was not expecting this. This is totally not what I signed up for. You already are super confident by the time you get to that 5th year. And that's what happened to me. I got into my 2nd year, and I was shadowing teachers, and my mom said I'd be a good teacher because I did youth ministry at my church, and it was kind of fun, and I did kind of enjoy it. But I got into that 2nd year, and I was shadowing teachers, and I started thinking, yeah, you know, all the other people in my program are super passionate about this, and I'm more passionate about communications. And so it was easier for me to switch in my 2nd year than getting to my 5th year and being like, well, now what? I have to go through it. I'm kind of stuck. So because of that liberal arts portion of our degree, you have a lot of flexibility to move around within that first 4 years. So a lot of our teachers will stay within BC, but I know a lot of teachers that will go outside North America, within North America as well. I know friends of mine that are teaching in Camrose right now, Saskatoon. So our teachers are well qualified to teach wherever they want to be if you want to come back to Alberta and teach when you're done. So our graduates actually graduate twice, once with a Bachelor's of Arts or Science, and then again with a Bachelor's of Education, and that completes the 5 years. So there's tons of practicum opportunities for our teachers. From their 2nd to their 4th year, our professors are great mentors, and we are a small school of about 2,000 students, so inherently your class sizes are going to be small, 20, 30 students max. Which allows our professors to get you into good practicum opportunities where you want them, whether that's in the Christian school, the independent school, or public school. We encourage our students to get into all classroom environments so that you get a good feel for what it's like. There's also really cool travel opportunities you could do. We have travel studies, so There's about a dozen that go at the end of the semester, and they go all over. Like our nursing students go to Zambia and work in orphanages. Education students have gone all over, from London. They can go downtown Vancouver if they want to stay close. They can go to our Laurentian Leadership, which is in Center, which is in Ottawa. There's a lot of different opportunities where they can take courses and travel at the same time. It's a Christian university as well, so Christian worldview is incorporated into all the classrooms. You don't have to be a Christian to come to our university, but all of our staff and faculty do sign a statement of faith saying that they will uphold a Christian lifestyle while they're involved in the university, and that they'll incorporate Christian worldview into the class. So that changes per class. That might be praying before class, or incorporating Christian culture into whatever you're talking about, or historical perspective, or asking students to write a faith-based paper. So it kind of varies per class. But there's also chapel 5 days a week at our school. There's no classes from 11 to 11:30, so students are not required to, but are recommended to go to chapel and take a break from their day, or see a speaker from Monday through Thursday, or praise chapel on Friday, which is a great time to just reconnect and get your mind off your paper for half an hour. There's also a ton of resources. We are an accredited university all over, so we're kind of a nice mix between Bible school and full four-year university put together. So if you wanted to transfer in, you can. If you want to transfer out, that's definitely possible too. Most of our students don't transfer out just because it's a great community. We don't do a lot of online courses for students. There's a few for like adult degree completion, but especially our education program, we do want students to be on campus, because that is how they're going to get the full experience of Trinity Western. Get on campus, be with our community, which is super strong and supportive, and be with our professors who want to they're there because they love Trinity, and they love they want to invest their time in a Trinity education, and they know the value of a Trinity education, so they want to be there, they want to teach the students, they want students to come into their office and take resources off their own bookshelves. They want to take you out for dinner to talk about a paper. They really want to see you succeed, which is huge. Yeah, I don't want to keep you guys here too long, but do you have any questions about Trinity or about the education program?
We've got Louis down there.
Yes, could you talk for just a minute about entrance requirements and how students who are homeschooled might be able to access your programs, especially perhaps the science-related programs?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good point. I did not talk about admissions requirements. So we have one general admissions requirement for all of our programs. So it's just a general admissions into the university. Nursing is a little bit more specific. So if you're interested in nursing, please do come by my booth. We're just looking for specific courses. But generally, we're looking for 4 grade 12 level academic courses, English being one of them. And then we'll take the 3 top ones. So for those in, say they're in the school level, I would say we want an English 30-1, so they have to be the academic level courses. For homeschooling students, ideally we want you to take your diploma exams or the SAT, ACT tests. We are starting a test, hopefully it'll be ready for this upcoming fall, but if not, definitely the one next, for homeschooling students that will kind of override diploma or SAT, ACT for students coming to Trinity. It's basically an admissions test. So that will hopefully be ready soon. Other than that, we do accept students who don't take the diploma or ACT, SAT, but it is case by case. So definitely would recommend applying to university. We give you an educational background chart to fill out so we can see what courses that you've taken, and then we kind of go from there and assess each student separately if they have not taken the diploma or the SAT scores. But that's definitely the ideal, and that would be the easiest way for admission if you do those tests. But definitely if you haven't, we'll send you an educational background chart and kind of assess you case by case. Application is free for all of our programs, so it's all online. It takes about 5 minutes. You can grab a brochure from my table if you want that has the website on it. It's tw.ca/apply. It's just an overview of who you are as a student. We just kind of want to get to know you better. We do have quite a few homeschooling students that come from all over North America, especially Northern Washington. to Langley. It's a great transitional university, especially for a homeschooling student, because we are small and we do offer a lot of resources for students. So definitely, if you are interested in that kind of community and education, I definitely recommend coming visit me at my booth. Did you have a question? Oh, sorry.
Just two, if I may. First of all, can you address how your tuition rates would compare to somewhere like UBC or U of A? Mm-hmm. And secondly, I'm a little confused about Redeemer Pacific College. Is that associated with Trinity? And if so, can you speak a little bit about what is offered for Catholic students and perhaps what proportion of your students are Catholic? Thank you.
Yeah. So I was actually a Redeemer Pacific student myself. I grew up Catholic in the Catholic school system too, and went to Trinity because of Redeemer Pacific. Let's start with the Redeemer Pacific side. So Redeemer Pacific College is a Catholic college, an affiliate college of Trinity Western University. So there's a big Trinity campus, and then there's a small kind of farmhouse that has been made into Redeemer Pacific College. It's one classroom, there's a chapel, a few offices. And how it works is that Catholic students, any student at Trinity, and we often get Catholic, non-Catholic, can take Trinity Western courses taught by the Catholic perspective at RPC. So they're interchangeable. A lot of students will take their core requirements there. So if a Catholic student wants to take their English, art, history, religion, philosophy, any upper level religion and philosophy as well, they can take it at RPC and have Catholic professors teaching it and have more Catholic content in there. They are Trinity approved, so they're in the course registration guide like any other Trinity course. They're just labeled a little bit different so you know to go to the different building. There are about 150, 200 Catholics on campus. We don't require that students sign a statement of faith and tell us what faith background they are, but that's kind of the number we've guesstimated from students coming to RPC, and yeah, who have told us. Students don't have to be Catholic to take courses at RPC. That's actually how a lot of ecumenical dialogue starts, is people from a different faith background coming together in course setting or for mass or chapel or at lunch or student life events at the college and just talking about their faith and learning about other faith backgrounds and learning their own at the same time. RPC is a good resource for Catholic students to come back to if they, because you have questions that are asked in the dorms or in the cafeteria, why do you believe such and such? So RPC is a good place to come back to and get those resources for students that want them. There is mass also at RPC 5 days a week when there's chapel, so students can choose whether they want to go to mass or chapel throughout the week. And they do have a full-time chaplain there as well. There's also, so the financial aid side of it, we are a private university, so we are more expensive than other universities. This year tuition without financial aid is $21,000 a year, and to live on campus it's another $7,500. That's including a meal plan. We do require students to live on campus or at home in their first 2 years. But every student gets financial aid from academic scholarships, need-based awards, endowment awards. And I do work with Prairie students, and most of my students pay about half of what tuition is before looking at savings or student loans or whatever kind of resources. Our financial aid, our academic awards go up to $7,000 a year depending on your marks, and that follows you every year you're at Trinity. Need-based goes up to $5,000, so right there, that's over $10,000 you're just getting off of your tuition. So we do have a financial aid office that works really closely with the admissions counselors and with families to make sure that if Trinity is where you want to be, that we make it happen. And I've seen a lot of cases where families think it's not totally possible, but they keep those doors open and we make it happen. We always are able to find a little bit extra money for a student who wants to be at Trinity, and if it's a good fit, then we want you there. Was there something else? Tuition, RPC, you're good. Oh, I was also going to mention, students that are baptized or confirmed Catholics can also receive more financial aid by taking courses at Redeemer Pacific. So they do it by class. So if you have that confirmation certificate or baptismal certificate, you fax that to our admissions office, and then every time you take a RPC class, they put money into your account, and I believe it's about $500 per class. So it is a little financial benefit to taking courses there too if you're a Catholic. Yeah. You're okay? I think we're good. Cool, yeah. If there's any other questions, please do come by my booth. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah.